we're starting with bash, and the goal is to learn the basics of bash. Then if time must permit, we'll move into cron and learn cron as well. And if time permits, then we'll see how I can do that exercise. If not, I might just make a video on how to do the exercise and post it. But at least I want to be able to teach you guys the basics of bash so that you understand, because that's actually the root of every other thing that you'll be doing as far as cloud is concerned. So first things first, bash uses interpreters, yeah, or rather bash is an interpreter. You could also be using Python, a Python interpreter. You could be using any other type of interpreter. And before you write a bash script, you need to specify what the interpreter should be. Yes. And for you to do that, you write it at the beginning of the file. So first, let me open up a new file. I'm using VS Code so that everybody can relate to everything. So I'm creating a new shell script. So for you to, the most commonly used interpreter is actually bash, but for Python software developers and all of that, some of them, they use Python interpreters or ZSH or any other type of shell interpreter, and it's actually called a shebang. So that shebang needs to be at the beginning part of your sorry, this people entering is kind of distracting, but we'll manage. So it has to be at the beginning part of your screen, okay? And it's a very simple syntax. So you just put a hash, an exclamation mark, then bin and bash. I think this path should actually be the same, whether it's Mac or Linux. It should actually be the same location. So anyway, it's going to be a Linux machine anyway that you're running a shell script on. So this will be the default location for your bash interpreter, right? Now it is after this line, anything that you put afterwards will now be interpreted by your bash script or your shell. So that's the first basic thing that you should understand. The next basic thing is, how do you declare variables? Now variables are like, you can't do without declaring variables in bash script. The reason is that it's not every time you're going to be, imagine you had very long set of blocks of code like this in your script, and you now have like directories to different things, maybe like a file or something. Maybe you're using like a file and it's in, you have specified it in different areas in your code, and your script is like 500 lines long. How will you start changing that file path in each of those places? It does not make any sense. So how would you do it instead? You will use variables, because with a variable you can just change it once. You can change the value of the variable once and it will take effect everywhere. Okay. Declaring a variable in bash script is very simple, very easy. It is not complicated, but there is one rule that you must follow. Do not add a space. Even if you disobey any other rule of declaring variables, do not add a space in between the variable name and the value. Don't add a space, please. If you do that, that variable will not function. It is a law. So let's declare a variable called first name. Now you can either use lowercase, you can use uppercase, or you can or you can use underscores. Now don't do this. Don't do this. Don't ever start your variable with a number. I think this is like pretty much programming 101. Don't ever start your variable with a number. Don't start variables with the underscore. I don't think like it's normal, like, you know, like, so this is like standard. These are probably the most acceptable ways to declare a variable name in your shell script, and probably any other programming language as well. You can also use camel case, so you can do something like first name. You can use camel case, no problem with that. Steve-O, okay, so you can use camel case, okay. So I'll just get rid of this, but most programmers or people who have written shell scripts, like I read online, they've actually recommended that you should use all uppercase for variable names, especially with environment variables. You want to declare all of them, declare environment variables using all uppercase characters. So we're just following the same syntax. So I would recommend that you should use all uppercase characters for your variable names. So let's declare a variable called first name, and then we give it a value of Patrick. Let me do this, sorry, Patrick. Okay, so this is valid. This is not valid. So maybe I should do this here and do this here. So this is valid, this is not valid. So this space here, don't add space. If you do this, I have zoomed in like almost, like, even me, I'm almost not seeing anything anymore. I don't think I can zoom in more than this. Like, see, I wish I can show you like the zoom length. Okay, this doesn't show like the zoom ratio. I probably zoomed into like 300%. So this is right, this is wrong. Now what you can do is put your stuff in full screen. You probably see clearer. I think I've tried with this zoom in. So let's declare another variable, last name. Let's try to move a bit quicker as you can. Okay, I'll remove this. Comments. If you want to add comments, the same normal thing with most programming languages. You could use a hash and say, let me just say declare variable. Okay, so this is, I've declared the variable. Now what if I wanted to, please, what's the name of the extension you used on VS Code that predicted what you want to type? It's actually Emmet. This is like, it's built in. I didn't use any, there's no extension. I'm not using any extension. Where you are, it's actually your normal default Emmet prediction. So maybe you can check how to enable Emmet. Yes, the class is recorded. I'm currently recording. Yeah. All right, so No, GitHub Pilot is disabled. Can you see? If I click this, then it will activate. It's currently disabled, so I'm not using any prediction. It's currently disabled. And okay, yeah, I think because this GitHub Copilot, it expired one time, so I just abandoned it. But the reason why I don't like to use it very often is it can make you lazy, because you wouldn't understand what you're doing with. As soon as you just start typing something, it auto completes the rest of the code. You don't know what you have done, whether it's right or wrong. You're just, yeah, it's like as if you're copying and pasting. So I would say it's only recommended for like someone who is a bit experienced with what they're doing, so that when it predicts the code for you, you can still go through what it has predicted and determine if what it has done is right or wrong. If not, it can actually predict rubbish. It happens. My guy is here. My guy for me is here. Milaya is here. She's my guy. She's my boss. So the next, this is how you declare variables. So I think enough dwelling on declaring of variables. The next thing is, how do you print stuff? You want to print something, you want to display something back to a user. How would you do it? Use the echo keyword. So the echo keyword is what you would use. And this, let me put a comment here. Print to user, something like this. So use the echo keyword, so I can echo back this first name and last name. So you say echo, my name is, and then to refer to these variables, you must first start with the $, and then first name, and then last name. So this is how you would, there's no need to put semicolons or whatever here. This is not where you will use it. I'll show you where you will use it. Maiwa, can you guys just stop spoiling my shit? Okay, so I was trying to explain that you don't need to add semicolons in your echo statement, so it's not needed. But there's another place where you can use the echo statement, so we'll get to that part. Just moving along very quickly. Now this is how yeah, Bimbo, we don't plan to stay too long on this. Max an hour, so an hour 30 minutes we should be done with this, really. So this is how you would print things back to a user, right? And you can concatenate stuff together. You can you can bring in many variables into your echo statement and return it back to the user. So let's see how this works. Let's run this. Oops, there you go. So okay, sorry, my bad. So I installed an extension that allows me to run the code, a shell code. So if I click on run code, it just prints it in the console like this. It prints it here. Okay, so I think the extension is called Code Runner. Yeah, that's the name, Code Runner. All right, so back to here. We have done this one. The next thing we want to do now is to read a user's input. We want to be able to ask a user something and then let them return the answer. So how would you do it? Okay, before I go to that, I'll show you how to concatenate. Let's say car. Let's say car model, and I just give it a string called BMW M. Then car, let me just call this one series. Please, how do you run the code again? Okay. I'm a BMW guy. Boy, I'm a BMW guy. Dadigi, so I installed an extension called Code Runner. This is it. I showed it before. Code Runner. Look at it. Code Runner. I installed this extension. So when you install it and you in your code, if you write something in your code, once you right click, you can right click and you select run code. It will run the code, or you just use the shortcut. In my own case, it's alternate control N. It will run the code, and if I press alternate control M, it will stop running the code. So it's just a quick way for me to be able to test what I'm doing instead of dancing in between terminals. So series, let's say I make this 7. So I have a I want a BMW M7. Amen. I want a car model, and then I can, okay, I wanted to do this. Sorry, this is what I wanted to do. BMW M, then series. Oops. So you can see that I joined these two together. So this will work. Nothing wrong with it. This will work. So if I run the code now, can you see my name is Patrick? As you can, I want a BMW M7. So that's how to concatenate things together. I just wanted to bring that to your notice. Next is any questions thus far, please, before I move. Okay, no questions. All right. So next, let's go to reading input. So if you want to receive input from a user, there are two ways about it, and I'll show you both ways. The first one you probably want to do is to do something like this. First of all, you would want to echo what is your name. For example, let's see, what is your name? Now there's a keyword. Is there another way to print the value without the echo keyword? I don't think there is. So to now read the inputs. Now you want to read an input from the person. So you use the read keyword, and when you put the keyword, you then specify a variable. So I would say let me say user name. Let me just use this because I've used first name here before. Then let me just echo something else again and say echo welcome to school, user name. Now if I run this code, so what's happening is this: I'm asking the question, I've printed the question. Now I'm asking the user to input something, and then I'm returning the results back. I'm just printing out like another message, or I can do whatever I want to do with whatever the person has inputted here. Now the problem with this is that it's if the person is not very if you're not very if you're not looking at what you're doing very well, you'll be confused what is going on, because what will happen is it will print this, then it will now show an empty line, and you'll be wondering, okay, where do I now type the name, something like that. You'll be wondering, what do I do next? You might be forced to do something like just pressing enter or escape, or you start wondering that, okay, maybe something has gone wrong with your code. No, nothing is wrong. It's just not as readable as you would expect it to be. So what do you then do? There's another way to go about it. So let's say to ask the question, so I'll say read, then I'll put the P flag. So the P here means prompt. Remember in JavaScript where you used to do this prompt, and then you ask what's your name. Remember this? So it's just the same thing. In shell you use this, you put it this way, -p. So let me remove this before I confuse everybody. So you put this, and then let's ask, let's say, how old are you? Or let me do it like this so that you understand. Enter your age. Now after this thing I've written here, I will then declare the variable. Sorry, my apologies. This read here, this $sign should not be here. That was a mistake. You should put just this variable name, so that whatever the user enters, it will become assigned to this variable name, and then you'll be able to utilize it here. So here should be age. Then if I now age, let's use it by force, then I can now print out you are age years old. Zainab, key means prompt. Remember in JavaScript, prompt, how are you? So this is how you write prompt in JavaScript, but in shell you write it this way. So you see, read input, I wanted to be able to differentiate this. Read input. Okay, oops. Read input, read input alternative way. So can you see that this looks much more readable actually compared to this method? So let's run this script now. First of all, let me comment out this one. Let me just comment out this one, and let's run this whole thing. So run. So it's of course this is the first thing that we did before. So now it has gotten to here, what is your name, and this is it here. Now you see that this is not exactly intuitive. What is your name? Okay, so what do I now do? Right, type it here. Can you see that I'm actually typing on my keyboard, but nothing is happening? Okay, so if I press enter, what happened? Is it frozen? I think the code is frozen. I think the code is frozen. Oh no. So let me do this. Sorry, my bad. I'll run it from my terminal. First of all, let me save this. Let me save it. Let me save it in. Okay, let me just put it here. Run.sh. So I'm just saving the file somewhere. So let me navigate to that place. All right. So I've saved it. Now if you want to run your shell script inside of your terminal, there are two ways about it. Now I can do this. I'll just say bash run.sh and then it will run. So you see that it's asking here, so I can type whatever I want to type, enter, and it has returned what it's supposed to return. Another way to run your bash script is, first you need to make it executable. So to do that, you do chmod plus x, which means executable. What this is doing is add executable permission to, that's what this plus is. If I use minus, it means remove executable. If I use plus, no matter what it is, even if it's r, I put like this. This means read, w means write, x means execute. That's basic. So you can, if you go back to your LMS, you can read up on this permissions stuff again. So execute, and then I specify the name of the file. So it has made it executable, so that if I do this run.sh, what will happen here is, first of all, I've specified the shebang, the interpreter here, so it knows that it should use bash to run this file, to execute this file. And then in this case, it will not tell me, oh, no permissions or permissions denied. If I did not grant it this permission, the executable permission, and I try to run it like this using this command this way, it will not run. It will give me permissions denied. So that's the difference. So now back to executing the file. So as you would see, it's printed this, and then it's asking for the input, but you can see that it's on the next line. So for some strange reason, like, it just looks odd. But let's see what happens when we try the second one. Let me cancel this. Okay, so, and then I'll execute the script again. Oops, I did not uncomment this, sorry. So I would so save, and then I'll come back, execute it. So now you see it's asking enter your age, and then I can put my age. So you see that there's a slight difference between how it prints that thing out in the console when you are running it. So this is how it will print it out in the terminal. So whichever method that looks okay for you, you can use. Whichever method you feel more comfortable with, you can go with this method, or you can go with this method. Just know that if you want to use this method, you should put the variable name just after the read, after the what you're trying to print out to the console, and don't forget to add the p flag. Yes, prompt, p means prompt. If you do not add this prompt, what will happen is it will give you an error. So we can test it. Let's test it. Sorry, save. Can you see run.sh like 18 read enter, not a valid identifier, because it's expecting this here and we did not put it, so it will throw an error. All right, on to the next one. Let's move. We're almost there. We're almost done with bash. It's just the basics, and trust me, once you understand these basics, you will start to enjoy bash. The next one is conditional statements. So let's do conditional statements. I'll show you the simplest conditional statement. I'll start with that. Now That's the if else statement. When you're writing an if else statement in a bash script, just know one thing: it starts with an if, there is a then. If there's an else statement, you add an else, and then you must end it with a fi. It's just a reverse. So I'll explain everything. If something is true, then print something, else shut down the computer, and that's the end. So that's pretty much what this, yes, thank you, Fad. The then here tells the if statement, tells your script that it should do this if this condition is met. So if this condition is met, do this, else do this. So you see that it's almost like plain English. It's almost like Python, if you have looked at any Python code before. All right, so let's write a real condition. So if, let's say if, and then you must use like the square brackets. So if age, you leave a space, is equal to 23, then you add a semicolon here. So this is where I said you should add a semicolon. So if age is equal to 23, then please take note of how I'm indenting these things. You can see how I'm indenting it. I'm not just typing it anyhow. Then echo you are old. The bracket is supposed to be 2. Not necessarily, not in this case, but I'll show you where. I'll show you where it will be 2. Not in this case. Then echo this, else you must be young or expired. Then you end it with an fi. So we're checking that if this variable age, whatever the user enters here as the age, if it is 23, then print this, else do this. So that's a very basic stuff. So let's execute it now. You must be a toddler or expired. So let's run this guy. Right, so it's asking what's my age. I am 2. So it says you must be a toddler or expired. So you see that it did not print you are old. Now let's run it again. 23, you are old. So you can do things like greater than, less than. I think for greater than, let me take a picture. Greater than in bash, greater than symbol is in bash. I think it's GE. Yeah, I'm correct. Yes. Oops. So you can do this, or you can actually do EQ. which means equal. Oops, EQ. So let's actually run this. Let's run the EQ. Admits this person. Yeah, GT greater than, yeah. So EQ, yeah, old. Yeah, you're right. So greater than or less than, you know. So yeah, the same way. I don't think the symbols will work. I'm not sure about the symbols, but we can try. There's no harm in trying. I haven't tried it before. So let's try that. Madness. That did not work. That did not work. So yeah, GE is greater or equal. Yeah. So I tried to use a symbol, but definitely symbols did not work here. It probably means something else in another place. No, it's actually easy, boy. It's actually easy. See, that's why I broke it down this way to make it simple, that you should understand the basics. Yeah, if you understand the basics, every other thing will be simple. It will start coming, like it will start to make sense. Basically, the symbols will only work when you use parentheses. Oh, I see. Oh, you mean like this? Moses, is that what you mean? Let's run it. Let's see. We're all learning together. Oops, no. Oh no, okay, instead of the square brackets. Okay, let's try that. Oh yeah. Let's try it. Oops. Let's try that. Yeah, command not found. Line 23. Line 21 to 23, yeah, command not found. So it skipped it and jumped. He said run them again. It didn't work, actually. It didn't work. So I guess, why am I sounding like Conrad? No, I'm not Conrad. I'm Patrick. Okay, Emeka just suggested something. Double the brackets. Yeah, 23 is an integer, yes. What do you mean? So yeah, no, that didn't fly. So let's yeah, because I want to pass it as a string. That's why I enclosed it. It's not compulsory that I put it as an integer. I wanted to pass it as a string. So it's like doing type coercion, or type conversion rather. So you see that even when I don't put the string on it, I still get the result I want to get. So it doesn't matter. If what I know that does not work in bash is float points. So things like this, 23 points, I don't think this will work. So let's even try that. I know I've come across something like this before somewhere. Yeah, okay, it's working here, but I think there's a place I tried it. Okay, I think it's when you're trying to do like calculations. Yeah, I think that's where it doesn't work. float points don't work in when it comes to calculations. I think it will just return the numbers, the digits before the decimal point. All right, so let's move on. So that's about that. Bash has some built-in keywords like dates. So date is like a built-in keyword in Bash. So let's get rid of, let me get rid of all of this. And let's just do dates. So you see, so you can Google some built-in keywords in Bash. So date here is a built-in keyword, and I can pass it. No, it did not work, Moses. It did not work. All right, so date. So I can pass this into a variable. For example, if I want to say today, a variable called today. But if we want to do it, because it's a built-in keyword, you need to add the $sign. Because it's like if you try to pass it directly without putting the $sign and the parenthesis, it won't render it. So let's echo this guy. I think we should be able to just echo today like this. Oops. Jesus. Yeah. So what if we get rid of this? What then happens? So you see, it just rendered out dates. So you need to, if you're trying to pass that date as a value, that's the date keyword, then you need to add the $sign and the parenthesis. You need to include it into the parenthesis and add a $sign at the beginning for it to work. So yeah. So that's that about dates. For loops. Let's do for loops. Now, let's say we had a file and we want to loop over all of the contents in the file and return something. What do we do? So first of all, let's create a file. Let me create a file in my computer. Let's say I have a file. Shit. Okay. I'll just create a file on my desktop. I'll call it names.txt. Then let's edit the thing. Names.txt. So I add Tayo, Shegun, Tosin. So I'll just do this. Now I want to loop over the names inside that fruits file using a for loop. How would I do that? It's almost similar to what we did with the if else statements. So you would say for we want to tie it in a variable, so let's map it to a variable. So we'll say for names in then $sign, and then you cut what is in the file. You need to cut what is in the file. So names.txt. Don't try to cram it, just take it easy. Names.txt. So let me explain again. For this is how you start a for loop. For, and then the reason why we put names here is we want to put whatever we're doing here, we want to put it in a variable so that we can use that variable maybe to echo it out to the console. So for names in, then first of all $sign, open your parentheses, and then you cut the file name. And I think I have to use okay, well, since this run.sh, since this shell file is in the same folder, is on the same desktop as this file, then this will work. But if this file was somewhere else, or if the sh file was in another folder, I need to put the path. I need to put like the full path. So if it's like in desktop, I'll do something like this: desktop names.txt. So I can do this, okay. Or if I want to use a variable, okay, let me just keep it simple. I can do this so that I'm not confused. I can do this. Now this is the path, this is the full path of the file. I think I should be able to enclose this in here, or backticks rather. Backticks, you could use backticks. We'll try all of them, so don't cram anything. No, so now I've enclosed this in backticks, then semicolon to terminate that for statement. So I'm saying for this in this, do something. So do, then in the next line, I now specify what I want it to do. I say echo, let's say the noise makers are, and then this variable that I put here, it is now I want to use that variable. So, and then I end the for loop with the keyword done. That is it. I finished writing my for loop. That is all. It might look a bit complex. Okay, so how do we write the backticks? Okay, if you look at your keyboard, it should be near the letter 1. Where you have number 1 on your keyboard, it should be near it. So you just press it and then to show up. Or where you have a tilde sign on your keyboard. So that's a backtick. I think this should work. So let's run it. Let's run it. Oops, cancel. Permissions denied. Really? Oh, hold on. Which one of them is denied? Okay, this file is denied. So I need to change the permissions of this file, of this names.txt file. So let me copy this. Gmod plus x. So let's run the bash again. Okay. So now there's an issue. It's saying tile command not found. Command not found. I think this is where the issue is. Hold on. Yes, that's where the issue is. So I think the key thing here is, if you're using the full path like this, you don't need to wrap it in anything then. But if you're using, if I'm going to use like my environment variable, so something like this, now I'm going to use a variable. I cannot just do it like this, because it's going to see this as a normal variable name, as if I'm trying to call a variable name. So I need to backtick this guy. Then let's run it. What the hell is wrong with you? Yeah, that shouldn't be. Sorry, is it backticks or single quotes or double quotes? 1 second. Yeah, so that's strange. I can almost swear that I've done this part. That's weird. Okay, well, I guess you don't need to do that then. That's strange actually, because anyway, I'll figure it out. See, that's all about for loops. Let's move on. Double quotes works. Okay, yeah, let's try double quotes, because I found it to be very strange. Yeah. Thank you. Double quotes works. Yes. All right. So you can use double quotes or single quotes. Any one of them works. But if you're using the full path, you can also use the double quotes as well. That will work. Oh yeah, and that's recommended. Thank you, John Paul. So that's recommended. Use the put it in the double quotes. All right. So next, what's the next one? Writing something to a file. So before we write something to a file, let's do arguments. What are arguments? So in JavaScript, in Bash script, you can write arguments. So arguments are like variable placeholders. Basically, they're still more like variable names, so that if you declare an argument, you can then pass the value to that argument. Why did you put dollar in front of your home? Yes, because the home directory, you see, like whenever you create a Linux user and the user has a home directory, it's usually like this home. Let's say you created a user called Tosin, so it's home Tosin, and then inside of Tosin you can have something like downloads. Okay, so you can have something like this, you can have something like this. So instead of me to now be writing /home/Tosin/music/this/that, I can just do home/music. So this home here will take care of this part. All right, so back to this guy. Where were we? Arguments. So an argument is just like a variable name, and it's quite it can come in handy in so many places, especially when you're running for loops. It comes in handy. So let's do something. So let's say we want to take an input from somebody, and then we pass an argument called 1. Now this by itself does not make any sense, but if I then do this, if I then echo my name is 1, what will then happen is when it asks me this question, whatever I type, it will map it to this, and whatever is there now becomes the value of that argument. So if you run this now, P requires an argument. Yeah, that's exactly what I've done. This is a strange one. That's weird. Rename the variable. I'm not exactly sure that's the issue. It's waiting for something. Repeat. That's a strange one. This is strange. I'm sure I've tried this before and it did work. Okay, let's not dwell on this. I'll check on it later, and if I figure it out, I will explain. Let's move on. The next one is are you sure? That would run this first before this, so I don't think that's the case. It's quite strange, actually. It's quite strange. I'll revisit it. Don't worry, I'll revisit it. I'll figure it out. So the next one we want to do is writing to a file, which is part of that assignment that we were given. So the most recommended way for you to do something like this is learn to put things in variables and variable names. So for example, if you want to write something to a file, like I said, map it to a variable so that if you change the name of that file or something, it will take effect wherever you have used it. Now, for the sake of time, I typed this somewhere, so I'll explain this. So here, I'm using an if-else statement. I will explain everything. So here, I have created a variable called log file, and then I have specified the location of that log file. Let me open my file manager so that you would see what is happening. And should I minimize? No, I don't want to minimize this too much so that I can see. Okay, yeah. So if anything happens, it will show up just here. So I've done this. This file doesn't exist. Jesus, this file doesn't exist yet. As you can see from here, it doesn't exist. So I've created this, and then I am mapping it to this variable so that I can use this variable instead of typing the full path every now and again. Now I can just do something simple and say echo my name is John. Then you put this double greater than sign, and then you specify where it should go. So log file. So what this is doing is write this into this file, and we have already set the file path here and mapped it to the variable. If not, what I will have done is I will now come and start doing this. Home Skyline GT9 memory dot log, something like this. I will now have to do something like this. Okay, so I don't want to do all this wahala. That's why I've used variable names. So let me remove this temporarily. Okay, and save. Then let's run this. Code is already running. I don't think that should have been the case. Run. All right. So I've run the code and it said done. Now let's check. Can you see our folder? It has created this. Exactly, variables will make your life easy. So it has created the file and written it to it. So you can see it makes things easy. All right. Now I'll delete this. I don't need this guy. Why is it there? So now let me explain what I now did with the if-else statement. So what I now did is, if, then I use the test keyword. So what this test keyword is doing is, it's checking first. It's checking if this file exists. So this -f flag means file. Of course, when you know the syntax, it makes it easy for you to use. So this -f file connotes that whatever is coming after is an actual file. If it's a directory, you use D. You use D -D. So this, and then it means that whatever you have specified here must be a directory. You can't use D and go and specify file here. It will throw an error. So the first thing to do is to check if this file exists, then echo this into the log file. This is just like a delimiter. This is just like saying we want to put lines so that we can separate the section, so that everything will not just be jam-packed together. We want to be able to tell, okay, this is where something started and this is where something stopped. So echo this into the file, then echo the current date and time into the file, then echo how much free memory that I have into the file, then echo another delimiter, and then echo, why did I, okay, then echo dates into the file, and then this is df is for checking your mount points. That's like the different mount points file systems on a Linux operating system. That's what df does. But I could have just removed this and leave it as this, but I was just trying to add more information. I want to see how much free memory and how much space each of the file systems are consuming. So all I did was print the free memory, then put another delimiter, then print the file systems, and then echo to the console. Once you are done, echo to the console that, okay, will start written to file. Else if this is not met, that's if this file memory.log does not exist, then create it. Okay, create the file, make it executable, because if you don't make it executable, it will not be able to write anything to it. Then do the same business as before. The rest of this is just a repeat of what is here. So you see that with this now, anytime this shell script is run, it will first of all check if the file exists, then it will do this. It will do this part of the code and stop. But if the file does not exist, maybe you've deleted it, or it's your first time running that particular script, then it will jump to the else block and do this first, and then do this. The next time it's running again, as long as that file is there, it will always run only the if part. It will not do the else part of it. So you see how that thing is a delimiter, Moses. So I will run it so that you will see what it is. So let me run this guy. So you see, it starts written to file. So let's open the file. So can you see that's a dash. Sorry, it's a bit tiny. I can't find a way to zoom this particular guy. So yeah, I can't zoom it. So there's a dot at the top. Oh, is it dot or dash rather? Then it printed the memory. Then it printed another dash. Then it printed the file system. Watch what happens again if I run the script again. Let's check. Reload. Can you see? This is the one it did before. This is the fresh one. So for as many times as the script keeps running, it will keep adding to this file, to keep adding to it. Okay, now in some instances you might want to not add to it. Maybe you want to keep creating new files. Then in that case you want to use something like a sequence, but that's a little more advanced. So let's take it easy. Let's not jump into sequence. This one that you have learned this night, swallow it first and go and practice it before you start doing advanced stuff. I will have shown you sequence, but not yet. I'll probably do a video on it. Swallow this one first and assimilate it. Let's now go and do, let me now run you through. Yes, of course, I'll upload the video this night. I'll set it should upload before tomorrow morning, hopefully. Yeah. Let me now show you cron. Let me explain the cron thing, because I know that one is a bit confusing. We may not be able to do SMTP this night, so let's just take it one after the other. For cron, I'll be using this site called Cron Guru. Okay, bon. Ebiri. Sorry, I speak my language. I'm from Delta State, but I was born in Ilorin. I'm a Ilorin, me. Ogbowi badada. Mewa. Crontab, they give me stress. Don't worry, don't stress. I will go into it a little. I've seen what I'm looking for. Yeah, so this is what I'm looking for. All right, so let's learn cron. Now, cron, the basic thing you need to know here is a cron is, cron tab is actually quite easy. So a cron is basically made up of 5 blocks. So let me use that term. It's made up of 5 blocks, and each block has its own value or parameter that it stands for. So the first stands for minutes. The second, okay, Claudine, I'll come again. So let me zoom this in. Sorry, let me zoom it. I hope it's clear enough now. So a cron has 5 blocks. I'm trying to use that term, 5 columns or 5 blocks. Okay, and for each block, so you see, like this block, for example, each block represents a parameter, which is actually a date or time or day or week or month. There's no year inside, so it's minutes, hour, day, month, week. Don't worry, don't try to cram anything here. Just understand the basics first. So now, if you put everything as all asterisks like this, what you're trying to say is it should run at every minute. Okay, now if you change this first asterisk, you change it to 1, so it's going to say run at minute 1 of every hour. It will run at minute 1. So at 12:01 your cron job will run. At 1:01 your cron job will run. At 2:01 your cron job will run, and like that and like that and like that, and it will keep running like that and like that until you delete the cron job or stop it from running completely. Now let's say you wanted to run the cron job every hour or every 3 hours, so you just change the second block, you change it to 3. So sorry, this is every minute past 3. So once it's 3 o'clock, it will be running at every minute. That's 301, 302, 303, 304, up until whenever you terminate that cron job. That's when to keep running. But if you wanted to run it every hour, there's something called a step. So to do a step, first of all, you do asterisk and then you put a forward slash. So what this is going to do is, just ignore this every minute first. This is the key thing. Every third hour. So that's every 3 hours. Does your server have to be on at midnight for you to send the mail? Yes, of course. If your server is not on, then your cron job will not run. It has to be on. If you want to test your cron job on your local system, what you can do is set a much shorter time, you understand, so that to be able to trigger, or manually run the cron yourself just to test it that is working. But you can also set a shorter time. All right, so now what if I wanted this to run every 30 minutes of every 3 hours? So what this is going to do is, because I still have this every 3 hours, that's what this forward slash is doing. It's like a step. It means every if I remove this, then it means run at 3:30. If I want this to run at 9 o'clock, I'll say 9 or if I want it to run at 6 o'clock in the evening, I'll say 18. It uses 24 hours, so take note of that. It uses 24 hours timing. So if you go and do 9 and you're expecting it to run at 9 in the evening, or it will run at 9 in the morning. It's 24 hours. Take note of that. If I wanted to run this at every day, so let's return this to this. So I'll say every day, every first day of the month, every day of the month rather. So every day of the month, it will run at every minute. That's what this is doing. So you see that this thing is quite interactive. It kind of shows you like an interpretation, although this interpretation can be a little confusing. The English here can be a little confusing, but once you get a hang of it, you will understand what's going on. If I did not add this, what will happen is it will run it on only the first day of the month. But if I wanted to run it every day, then I will step it. So just understand it, that if you want to do something that should run every, just remember that you should put a star and put a forward slash. You must put the star. If you don't put the star, it will not work. That cron will be invalid. It will not work. What else again? If you want to put a range, say every 5 minutes, let's say every 5 minutes, sorry, 5 minutes at 5 minutes interval. So I'll say 0 to 5. Every minute. So what this one is doing is it will be running it every minute up until 5 minutes. So to put it in a more understandable form, let's say you want something to run no longer than 5 minutes. I don't want this thing to run for more than 5 minutes. This is how you will do it. So you can even, like, if you do this, for example, it will run at, you can see the time here, it will run at, this is 11:01, 11:02, 11:03, 11:04, 11:05, and it will stop. It will stop at 11:05 because we said it should run for 5 minutes. You can ask it to run for 30 and it will continue all the way to 30. Okay, so that's what they mean by range. There's some other parameters that you can pass, but they're a little bit more advanced, and as you can see from here, it says they are non-standard. So this one will say at reboot, that's when the server reboots, run this cron job at so time. If you want to run something annually, this is what you would use. Let's even try this guy. So you see, if you put in annually, it says it will run this at 12 o'clock on the first day of January every year. What if we tried to do something like this? Invalid. So you see it's invalid. So if you're going to be using these kind of placeholders, then you better understand what you're doing. How do you put the content of your cron job in an email? Okay, for that one, first of all, let's go to, okay, so far with this cron job explanation, any questions there? Okay, all right, I'm happy like you guys are understanding it. I'm happy I understand it. Very good. Okay, so let's go to the elephant in the room. Okay, you say you don't understand. What parts don't you understand? Is it everything or? So let me just go through it again quickly. How do we use it in bash environment? Oh yeah, I'm getting there. Well, we're getting there. I was just trying to explain this because some people didn't understand how it's calculated. Everybody was just doing star, and then you start getting emails every second until the Google now deletes your email for you. The easiest thing for everybody to do was just to do star, because if they do something like this, they say, my email no work again, no, and you didn't understand why it was not working. So if you want to generate your cron tab, you can always use crontab guru to generate the time. Play around with it until you understand what you have created, then you can now copy it. So this now, for example, let's say we want to run something every 10 minutes. Let's say we want to run it every 10 minutes. So I'll say star step 10. Then this, mind you, there's a space between all these things, so sure you know. So I want to run it every 10th minutes, whether it's 10:13 every 10:39, maybe 10:39, 10:49, 10:59, or 2:53, 2:13, 2:23 every 10th minute. That's what this means. So this is what I will copy. I'll just copy this whole thing like this. Now let's go to our terminal. Let me go to my terminal. Open up the terminal. Let's try to log in. Vagrant global status. Let me expand this guy a bit. I'm not seeing root. Can you guys see this, or should I just use? Let me just use this guy a bit. Let me use this guy. Sorry, I haven't done much on this cron tab part, but we'll get there. Vagrant SSH. I'll zoom in, don't worry. I should use VS Code. Let me just use this one first. It's the same thing. God, I don't know whether the VS Code is confusing the way it's looking. Let me just use the terminal. There's no difference anyway. There's no difference. Where were we? Okay. First, you want to install crontab. So I'm not sure I have it installed here. So let me install it. Crontab. Bang, bang, bang. Sorry. What am I doing? Yeah, it's already there. So it's installed. Now for you to system restart required. When last did you shut down your server? Oh yeah, no, because it did, I think it did an update, so it's asking me to shut down. It's asking me to shut down this particular server, but I don't care. Yeah, I'll just leave it as it is right now. All right, so to edit your cron tab, now every user has their cron tab. Every user has access to the cron tab, but sometimes you might need sudo privileges. It depends on the user. Okay, sorry, I made a mistake. It should be sudo apt install cron, not cron tab. Sudo apt install cron. Moses. So for me to edit my cron tab, I will say cron tab -e. Now, if you are doing it for the first time, it will want to ask, what editor do you want to use to open the cron tab? So my favorite choice is Nano. I don't like Vim. Vim is difficult. I don't know how to use it. So let me stick to what I know how to use. I've been using Nano for like 3 years. I've never used Vim in my entire life. Alright, so now we are inside our cron tab file. So this is our cron tab file. So all you do is go way to the bottom, and you can see that there's an example here on how to do stuff. Then let's paste what we copied. Oh, Jesus Christ of Nazareth. Yeah, I've actually been using Nano for about 3. I've been hosting websites and stuff. I've been building websites for maybe the best part of 8 years. Yeah, since 2010 or so, thereabouts, or 2008, 2009. Don't worry, just keep at it. You will get there. Now, small. It took me about 6 months to learn web design actually. But by the time I learned it, the rest are sharp. Okay, so the cron tab here says run this every 10th minute, and I want you to use bash. Yeah, I saw the talent QL pipeline stuff, but I do cloud. I don't want to do too many things at the same time. I beg you, no do suicide. I beg you. You won't commit suicide. I saw what he did there. Okay, so where's that our this thing? Okay, it's here. So I think I should be able to use, no, can I use variables? I beg, long term. Let me just do this one so that we can run along quickly. So I'm putting the path to the file, the cron file. I think it's on the desktop. Run.sh. That's correct, right? Yeah, that's correct. So this is my cron job. This is how someone was asking how you will copy it, so that's all I need to do. So I'm saying run this at every 10 minutes using bash. Use bash to execute this file. Make sure that this file is already executable. If not, when the cron job runs, it will not work. So save and exit. So it has installed the cron tab and it has kicked in. So every 10 minutes it will write, it will run that script basically. And what's inside our script? What did we say? We have not scattered it. Okay, we said do this. Okay, yeah, this is fine. So it will run it. It will run this fine. Let me shorten the time. Let me shorten the time. So let me change it to run every minute. Let me just change it to run every minute. Maybe it has. I doubt if it has done anything. Installing new. So you can see that whenever you change it, installs more cron tabs. So let's see, cron tab. I think it's -L. Yeah. Cron tab help. List users cron tab. Yeah. So I think that's pretty much it. Yes. So our cron tab has been installed and it should start running. I've deleted that file. So let's wait and see what happens. Let's wait and see what happens. It's still there. I'm just checking to make sure that it's still there, because I remember in the LMS, Abango ran into a couple issues. So I think this should have run by now. I'll be 1 minute never passing. 1 minute won't pass since now. That's a strange one. Sorry, what am I doing? It will not work, Jerry. And I'm not telling me. See, I'm inside my Vagrant machine and I'm referring to a folder that does not exist. This folder does not exist on the Vagrant machine. So this will not work. So this is what I should have done. Home. Vagrants. So this is the correct thing. So this will not, this is what should work. This doesn't even exist. So what I will do is, let me remove this. Let me save it like this. So it has changed. Okay. So let me just go over it again for the sake of those that got confused. This is my Vagrant machine. I want to create a shell script and a cron job. So the first thing I want to do is, I think, let me just remove this file. So I've deleted that file. And let's delete the cron job. So I'll delete this. Let me just delete this. So the cron job is gone. Now I want to start it afresh. So first thing we want to do is to create our shell script. So I'll just copy the shell script we did before to make things faster. So I'm creating a file, nano let me just call it stats.sh. I'll paste the shell script inside. We all know how we got to the shell script. Then I'll save this and then make it writable. Gmod plus x stats.sh. So it has made it writable. Now the next thing is to create the cron job. So I'll go to crontab -e. So now I want to create the cron. So I would say I want it to run every minute. So I'll say star space star space star space star space star. That's star 5 times, and you must leave space in between. If you join it together, it will not work. You can see even from the example here, you can see there's space in between. So don't make that. If you make that mistake, it will not work. Then I want it to execute this shell, run the shell script using bash. Even if I don't specify, I think it will know to run it with bash already, because if I don't specify, it will attempt to use this. Remember this command that I showed you. So it will attempt to run it something like this. It will attempt to use this to run it, which might be an issue. It might run into an issue if you have not specified the shebang in this shell script file. So to make things simple, just put the bash there, JJ, then specify the location of the bash file. So mine is here, stats.sh. No, it's not the same. No, it's not the same. Malcolm, it's not the same. Let me show you. Oops. Star. So what this means is that this one should run every minute continuously, but this one will run the first minute of, sorry, let me not confuse you guys. You might be right, actually. Yeah, every minute. Yeah, he's right. It's every minute. It's the same thing. You're correct. And Malcolm, yes, you're correct. It's every minute. There's no seconds, though. There's no seconds for Cron, Emeka. So back to here. So I'll save this. We all know how we got this anyway. So I'll save this, and then it installs the cron. So we wait. Let's see. The English you wanted to produce would have finished us. I don't know that one. I don't know that one. Okay, so I think it has created the first one. So we can see what's inside. memory.dog. So it's in there. There's a bunch of other things. I think it has run like so many already, but anyway, at least you can see it is running. So I hope everybody has been able to understand this so far. Now regarding putting this as an attachment, well, there's no time because we've spent like 2 hours already, and I don't tire already. I won't go sleep. So you need to, first of all, you need to install postfix. When you install postfix, then you can install something called snail. So what this is like using Microsoft Outlook or Thunderbird or any email client. So the snail runs in command line basically, and what it then does is it allows you to send an email. So you'll be able to do something like this. You actually be able to do something like this: echo, and then the body of the image, the email will go here. Then you now say snail. You specify the subjects, subjects, then A is for attachment, so you specify the path of the attachment. Then of course the email address. Now some people left the email address blank, and then what then happens is when it sends the email will come with this. It will come with this thing here, to come with this name here, vagrant@master. Now this is invalid. This is not a valid email address, so you need to specify your email address. And I think you can use the -r command maybe to say something like this: johnthomas@gmail.com, something like that. So yeah, like I said, we'll do it tomorrow or next. For now, I think we should just end it at here so that everybody can assimilate what they've learned already. I'll upload the video. I'll set the video to start uploading now after this call, so that you can practice, at least get a good understanding of the bash and cron. Understand how it works very well. Worry less about the email and the exercise for now. Okay. All right, so guys, until next time, yeah, have a wonderful night's rest.